A growing number of leaders urge President Xi to completely shut down their wet markets. Joining us now to discuss this issue is co-founder of Farm Sanctuary, Jean Baur.
So what should we do as a country? What should the world community do?
Here in the United States, we are confining billions of animals in these factory farming warehouses every year, which are a breeding ground for disease. It's a global problem, and it all stems from the way we interact with other animals. When we interact in mutually beneficial, compassionate ways, it's good for everybody.
Okay. I have to say, I started the segment thinking this guy's probably crazy, but I think you're actually reasonable and thoughtful.
He is the president and co-founder of Farm Sanctuary. His new book is called Living the Farm Sanctuary Life, the ultimate guide to eating mindfully, living longer, and feeling better every day. Please welcome to the program, Mr. Jean Baur. Sir.
Please welcome to our Hallmark Kitchen, Moby and Jean Baur.
I'm delighted to have Jean Baur here today. He is the president and co-founder of Farm Sanctuary.
Time magazine calls our next guest the conscience of the food movement.
Jean Baur is an animal activist, an athlete, and a 1,000% vegan.
With me tonight, Jean Baur, who is the president and co-founder of Farm Sanctuary.
Here with us now, president and co-founder of Farm Sanctuary, Jean Baur.
Jean Baur has been the polite guy in this debate so far.
I just wanted,
and you do get points for that, but come on.
Yeah. Well, in terms of the science, there's the China study, which the New York Times called the Grand Prix of Epidemiology, done by Colin Campbell, a biochemist at Cornell University.
We started in 1986 actually investigating factory farms and finding living animals that were thrown in trash cans or living animals thrown in piles of dead animals.
No.
And so we just started rescuing them.
It's harder to eat meat when you know the animal's name.
So
I
true.
have found.
So true. For me, it's really about living as compassionately as possible, not participating in unnecessary suffering. And if we can live well without causing harm to other animals, why wouldn't we?
So I agree. You know what? I agree with you. I'm just going to say it. I agree with you completely there.
You know, these are living, feeling creatures, just like cats or dogs. They have relationships with other animals. They have relationships with people.
We're in the midst now of an awareness that we need to change our food system.
Industrial animal factories store this manure in these open cesspools, and oftentimes it gets into groundwater, it gets into surface water.
It's tragic if you think about the health problems that we suffer from. And we could eliminate 70% of healthcare costs by shifting to a whole foods plant-based diet.
How are we going to do it if we don't raise food for billions of people in these controlled situations?
Well, the most efficient way, really, to feed our world is by growing plants instead of animals.
You're saying that we shouldn't be cruel to animals, and I agree with you completely, and I hope other conservatives would pause and think about it, because I think a lot of them would agree.
Taxpayers subsidize this cheap factory farming food. So the factory farming system is actually quite costly when you look at all the various consequences of it. Half of the water used in this country is used to raise animals for food.
Jean, thank you so much for coming on. I know you've just scratched the surface of what's there, so we'll find out more from your book.